Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Fieldhouse. I'm Blake Munroe, where I'm joined weekly by Gerry Hamilton, Bob Shipley, Coach Tim Buchanan, and Carl Padilla of the Padilla Poll. And Carl, we're going to start with you. What do you have for us from last week?
We numbers, Carl.
There's a lot of numbers, and there's some Padilla Poll stuff in here too. Last week, 76 shutouts.
Ooh.
3 teams scored 80, and you'll find out who those are in a minute. 21 scored 70 points. There were 70 games decided by 50 or more. 84 one-score games, and 17 games where there was 100 points or more. So the Coach Buck defensive games of the week, Aldine Davis beat Westfield 6-0.
Oof.
Wheeler beat Wellington 13-0, and Greenwood beat Seminole 10-3. The Coach Shipley offensive games of the week: Fort Bend Bush 76, Fort Bend Austin 71, North Forney 56, Longview 55, and I think the Longview, maybe I'm wrong, but maybe the Longview quarterback might have thrown for 7 touchdown passes or something, and they still lose. Very seldom you see Lakeview on the winning end of a high-scoring game, but they beat Big Spring last week, 76-49. And this next one, I'm pretty sure, is a state record. So 2 weeks ago, Seminole scores 88 points. Last week, they scored 3.
No.
So that's a difference of 85 in 1 week. So they went from a Coach Shipley team to a Coach Buck team in 1 week.
That's amazing.
So the 3 teams that scored in the 80s last week: Sanger beat Gainesville 80-22, Wimberley beat Smithville 84-26, and Poth, which was up 75-6 at halftime, beat YMLA 81-6. 2 teams of note that I put down: Edinburgh Economides is 9-0. They've never won more than 8 games in a season, and they did that back in 2003. Raymondville's never gone 10-0 in a year. They've gone 9-0 2 years in a row, 86 and 87. They're also 9-0, so if they win, they'll be 10-0. Bryan and Killeen have a big giant game, I think, on Friday. They're both 0-9.
Oh.
So the winner will get a win. Talking about my service and the guys who take me, there's 237 teams now looking for 172 scrimmages and 511 games. If you want competitive district last week, 14-3 AD won, had a 3-point, a 2-point, and a 2-point double overtime game.
Wow.
So far I've sent my guys concerning realignment. We'll start from the bottom. 282, I have 103 schools. The range is 105 to 175. In 281, there's 105 schools. The range is 176 to 247. In 382, there's 102 schools. The range is 248 to 375. And in 381, there's 102 schools, and the range is 376 to 566. And there you go, Blake.
I was writing that down as you were talking.
Yeah, we both know a certain coach.
That's a lot to process. You have too many questions. I want to start here with you guys. So the snapshots come out, and DeSoto again can go to is 5A number, right? And Cedar Hill's a 5A number,
right?
Any of you guys take it and run with it. DeSoto petitioned to stay up at 6A last go round. Coach Buck, what is that decision? I'm not saying like you're in the inside at DeSoto, but what comes down to those decisions? Is there something behind the scenes with a decision like that may not meet the eye, that you're just thinking, oh, we just want to stay in the District of Doom and roll up and down I-20 and play the teams we always have and be in that district? Is there something else that goes into this, like for a Cedar Hill decision to petition to stay 6 or move down to 5?
Well, typically it's because of it's multi-school school districts that do that, trying to keep all their teams in the same district or at the same conference level to make it easier on their district and their administrators and travel and all of that type of stuff. Now, in the eyes of DeSoto, which is a one high school district, and Cedar Hill, the same thing, it comes down to, I believe, them wanting to stay in 6A because they believe they get more prestige being a 6A football school than a 5A football school. My opinion, I don't believe that way. There's 18 other varsity sports probably at that school. And if it's not good for all 18 of them, then you shouldn't do it. And then I'm pretty sure that your band will stay in 6A, your UIL academics stay in 6A. You don't just opt up for football.
Right.
So that's something that you have to look at as a school district whenever you decide if you're going to do that. Is it best for all your students and not just for a percentage of your students? And that's the biggest thing you have to look at, in my opinion. Why DeSoto is doing it, I'm pretty sure they're talking about doing it so they can stay in 6A football.
Yeah. Does anything affect Carl, guys? Does any piece of this also become money you can generate in 6A because you have bigger gate at your games? Like if you move to 5A and you don't play Duncanville, let's say, does that affect your gate, like attendance wise, in things such as that potentially?
I would not think those terms at all, personally. I agree with Buck. When you hoist a trophy up, is there anybody going to say, "Oh man, that'd be pretty cool if it said 6A Division II on there, but it's 5A 5A Division I, so you suck." Play at your level of competition. Don't let your ego and stuff. Those guys you got right now may not be this. Your team may look totally different next year. But I think Buck makes a great point. Football is king in Texas, no doubt, but great athletic directors always do what's best for the entire athletic department and the school district.
Yeah, one thing about putting all your schools in one district is, say you're at Dallas ISD and you got 8 schools in 4A, and instead of having them in D1 and D2 in football, you put them all in D1. Well, guess who's going to be the district champion? They're going to represent Dallas ISD.
Yeah.
So, and on another point, Jerry, in District 11, where Duncanville and DeSoto are right now, there's 8 teams currently. 4 of them should be 5A D1 next time. So that whole district will be reconstituted.
Correct? Lancaster turned in 5A numbers now?
They surely did.
No. Hey, Carl, a question, and I might have to make you go to the spreadsheet, although probably not. How many new schools are opening up next year in Texas?
8.
8 new schools.
Yep.
And our majority, obviously Houston or Dallas, but does it swing one direction or the other within that 8, whether it's DFW or Houston, off the top of your head?
There's actually 2 in San Antonio now.
Okay.
1 in the Austin area. What do you call Keene? Fort Worth?
Yeah.
So couple Dallas, couple Houston.
Okay. So it's about evenly split. Okay. I was wondering if there was like a big differential in Dallas area versus Houston. Right now, there's not.
Nope. And for the 3rd realignment in a row, we have a 5A D2 school, Walnut Grove, going straight to 6A.
So anything from the early snapshot numbers that caught your attention? Because I'm going to ask Coach Buck about Aledo going to 6A. Anything that really caught your attention, Carl? It could be an ISD that lost a lot of students, a school that lost a lot of students, or people that have that decision to move up or down or going to move up or down.
Yeah, well, there's probably 10 schools right now, maybe 20 schools that haven't decided to opt up. There's no such thing as opting down, Jerry.
Right.
Houston Davis, if I have this right, was 3806.5 last time. This time they're 2920. So that's a huge one. If you want to talk about the percentage winner, Rawls went from 148 to 104.
Oof.
So they could actually stay 6-man, but they said they'd opt up to 11-man. So those are the 2 biggest ones. But there's a bunch of schools in here that have lost 20% of their enrollment in 2 years.
Wow.
Coach Buck, talk about Aledo, the move to 6A, and kind of your thoughts on that, because it's a whole new world. Will they probably head west from a district standpoint? I mean, I know it's a little too early, but kind of your overall thoughts on that.
Well, who knows where they're going to go? I mean, Aledo's always been right there on that dividing line from going west. I know they've been in with Breckenridge, Brownwood, all the way to Eastland and stuff like that before. I know Weatherford's gone as far as San Angelo, Abilene, and San Angelo. So there is a chance that they could go west depending on what the UIL does with districts 1 and 2 and 6A. But as far as talking to the coaches and talking to the parents, and I think they're actually, Aledo's kind of excited about it. Of course, I was there for a long time, and when I got there, we were a small 3A. We were pretty good in 3A. Next thing you know, they go to 4A, and everybody was sitting there going, okay, we're going back to the old, getting our butts beat. And we end up going to the quarterfinals the first year in 4A. And then we moved from 4A to 5A and still do well. Now, going from 5A to 6A, there are some animals out there in 6A. I mean, the Duncanvilles and the North Shores. There's some schools with, when you look out there, North Crowley right now, and Blake's talked about this, and, y'all talked about this. North Crowley has, 20 to 30 Division I football players in their program. Aledo, I think right now they've got one big-time Division I player on their football team. I'm talking about on their football team. Now, they have some smaller Division I guys, but as far as one guy who will receive an NIL deal in their football program right now. I'm talking about 7th grade through 12th grade. Yeah. So they'll have a little bit tougher time in the playoffs. Everybody talks about the district win streak and all that. There ain't one coach in there that counts that district. Now, nobody wants to be the head coach when they lose it, but it's going to be a deal that starts over again, and somebody else will try to break it. But I honestly think it'll be good for the community and the school district, and they're going to stay one high school for probably 5 to 6 more years at least before they even do a bond for another high school. They just Aledo doesn't have the commercial development right now to support a second high school.
Hey, Bud, talk about that. San Antonio Southwest ISD, there's no bank branch or anything in their whole district. And so if you want to go banking around Southwest ISD, you got to go to somebody else's school district to do it. One other interesting thing, Jerry, I think the Valley is maybe shutting out everybody this year, which means Corpus Christi is going to have to go north or west. So they've got 9 6A schools and 17 5A D1 schools. And if I remember right, 9 5A D2 schools. So there's, like I say, no room at the end for Corpus schools in the Valley the next 2 years.
Interesting.
Hey, Carl, I want to go back to your cutoff numbers for a moment because we got through 3A, but go ahead and give us the rest of your projections as far as
we don't have any other projections besides that, because if the big ISDs, they are going to sit there and hold off on what they turn in until the last day, and the last day is Friday. So
that's a tease by Carl. He's trying to make sure people take his newsletter next week too. He'll come out with 3A, then he'll come out with through 5A, and then a couple of weeks later he'll do 6A. He's not going to give you all the information in one shot.
He's sandbagging like Shipley does on the golf course, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Trying to get the money right.
Yes, sir.
Well, Carl, let's take a look at your poll. How about that? We'll start there with the Padilla poll, and let's do Class 4A. We'll start with Division II, of course. Carthage, Pleasant Grove, Brock, Midland, Greenwood, Belleville, top 5, followed by Lubbock, Liberty, Sealy, Athens, Sunnyvale, and Seminole to round out your top 10. And then you have not a lot of change there in Division I. Salina, Stephenville, Kilgore, Canyon West Plains, and Panther Creek make up your top 5 in Division I.
Hey, Blake, talk about San Antonio Davenport. So I go watch them play last week, and the coach invites me late. Well, Comal has this little thing, you got to do by Tuesday. Well, obviously on Friday, it's way beyond Tuesday. So he goes, don't worry about it. I'll take care of the admin. So sure enough, he does. So I get there, watch the game. Canyon Lake kicks off to Davenport. Guy catches it about 6, but then he doesn't. So then he bends down to pick it up, and he doesn't. And then he bends down to pick it up again. And I mean, the guys are right there ready to tackle him. He jukes one, and he goes 94. So it's a touchdown off a double fumble.
Oh, wow.
So it's 6-0. So sure enough, here we go, extra point. Ball gets snapped. The holder drops the ball. He stands up. He doesn't look for 2 seconds, finds a tight end wide open in the end zone. It's 8-0 off of 2 fumbles. So you don't get to see that very often in football.
Hey, Buck, I want to ask you a quick question here, a little bit off topic. Don't want to get into what's going on at Salina other than when there's so much distraction going on in a program, how does a team keep focused? You're the number 1 team in the state, and you've got the state media attention on you for all the wrong reasons. How do you keep that team focused? Because you've got a chance to win another state championship here, but there's a lot of distractions, a lot of people tugging on you, a lot of talk, a lot of gossip, all that stuff. How do you maneuver that as a head coach?
Well, it's got to start before the problem starts. I mean, you have to condition your kids. One thing, and I learned it from Ross Rogers and Gene Rogers, is you don't worry about things you can't control. You know, you can't control how good or bad your opponent is. You can't control the officials for damn sure. You can't control the weather. Yeah, there's a lot of things you can't control. The only thing you can control is yourself. And you've got to stress that with your kids and have that mindset for when something like this does happen. And then when it does, when you do have this happen, I know we used to have, when we got to the state championship week, for example, you know, if you don't have, like, we had a media day, like a specific day, 1 day a week, a certain amount of time, we had a media day where if anybody wanted to come from the media, otherwise you got media people showing up for practice every day. You got people wanting to talk to kids. And the same thing here. The school district, what they need to do is say, hey, no media on campus, no media at athletic events, no media or at practices. They can show up for contests, but that's it. And keep their kids away from the media. Keep your coaches away from the media. And talk to your kid. You've got to talk to your kid. The biggest thing about it is social media, and you know your kids are on it. Luckily today, there's a ban on cell phones and devices in schools, which is going to help them a little bit. So the kids aren't sitting there looking at it all day, every day on social media. But you know, eventually it's going to happen. But you just got to coach your kids more on, don't worry about things we can't control, and try to turn it around as a motivational factor for those kids is what I would be trying to do. Hey, everybody's against us. The Art Browse, you got a chip on your shoulder, nearly type deal, is what I would be trying to do. Everybody wants to see us lose. Everybody's against Salina right now. Let's show them who Salina really is. That type mindset is what you'd have to be doing as a head coach, in my opinion.
Yeah,
it's great stuff.
Buck, one thing on the officials, truly believe they're better in high school than they are in the SEC. I sent Gerry and Blake a post on X by my friend Kyle Umlang, and he says the only elite team in the SEC are the officials.
Yeah, I got a question for Bob and Coach Buck, and Carl would know this too. So the SEC literally had a crew this year that is suspended forever. Like, this crew's never reffing another SEC game. Has that ever happened in high school? Like, and not just one district, okay, but they're done, period. Like, we're not, y'all are not, and I know it's different because there's everything that's come out with sports on the college and pro level, but can y'all recall anything like that in high school? Like, y'all are done forever here, move on?
I tried several times, but I never got it done.
You still are, I bet.
Now,
Yes, I
I'll say
know.
this, when it comes to officials, as long as they understand, what I always talked to them about was, hey, look, you guys, most of you, 99% of you are doing this for fun, for extra money. Please remember that coaches are doing this for a living.
Yeah.
And one bad call may cost me my job.
Yeah.
That's the reason we're so passionate about what we do. So please keep that in mind. And, I'm going to say this, 99% of officials out there do the best job they can.
Absolutely.
You got good coaches, you got bad coaches, you got good players, you got bad players, you got good sportscasters, you got bad ones. I mean, you got some good officials, but most of them work their tails off to try to be good. And they're human. When they are human, and they're going to make mistakes.
Yeah, personally,
and as they always say, don't gripe about it. Get trained and come help us.
Right.
There's a shortage of officials everywhere. And, if you don't like what's going on and you can do something about it, get trained up and join and work your way up and see if you can make a difference.
That's right. I taught my son into being a game official, and he officiated till my granddaughter was born. And then his wife said, no, you're not doing that. She was born in June. And so he's not officiating this year, but he's going to go back into it next year. And we need more and more good officials. Heck, Ross Rogers, my old mentor, he's officiating sub-varsity games in Bryan.
Really?
Yeah. He's got a crew, bunch of old coaches.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's probably not a story they hadn't heard.
Yeah, I promise
they
you.
hadn't heard.
I personally know 3 officials who have been banned for life, but none of them were because of how bad they were on the field.
Right.
Other incidents, but my whole thing with officials is within 2 years, the only thing they'll be calling is varsity. And if I'm correct, I was told earlier this year, Permian Basin, the only sub-varsity games they call are around the Permian Basin. Anybody's 50, 100 miles out, they're calling all their coaches are calling all the games from 7th grade to sub-varsity. So, and the other thing that's kind of interesting about officials is Halloween was on Friday, and so there was a lot of officials on a lot of crews that went from 7 to 5-man crews this week because other officials were out trick or treating.
Oh, wow. I thought you were going to say they dressed up. That's why I got to tell you all this story. I got to tell you this story before you go to 5A. I don't know why it feels like it, but the craziest thing I think I've seen in all my years doing this. So in the state of Florida, not all counties play middle school football. And a lot of kids will play youth football all the way up to until their freshman year of high school. When I lived in Florida, one of the first things a high school coach was telling me, I'm not going to tell the high school, but because somebody might know who that coach is if they happen to listen to the show. But he was saying I had to go to this youth game to watch the best players coming up. But he said, make sure and get there like 45 minutes early. And I was like, why? He was like, so you can see the betting action at the youth. Youth football in Florida. There were literally guys out there exchanging hundreds and making bets on a youth league football game. Never seen anything like it in my life. It was pure entertainment. I don't know if I've ever told that story, Blake, on Coffee and Football. I probably need to, but that was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. I can't imagine they're betting on youth football games, but they sure as hell did in South Florida.
Wow. That's crazy. All right, let's look at 5A. And Aledo is still standing strong at number 1 in Division 1, followed by Lone Star, Port Arthur Memorial, Denton Ryan, and LaPorte to make up your top 5. And then over in Division 2, Richmond Randall, South Oak Cliff, Iowa Colony, PNG, and Argyle. So not much change at the top, Carl.
No, a little change. LaPorte beat Angleton by 7 last week. Another defensive struggle, 47-40. So they flipped spots.
Yeah, and will they both go big, or will one be big and one small? Do we know yet? Because that game matters then if they're both in the same division, because the winner of that district.
It's
Remember 5A on down, everybody's in the same division.
Oh,
So,
they're both D1 then.
yeah,
Okay.
so LaPorte's the 1 seed, Angleton's the 2 seed.
Yeah.
And another thing, College Station snuck into the top 10 after beating Pflugerville Weiss, and that handed Austin Anderson, which hasn't won a district title in years, the district championship in that. And they're not even listed. So you just wonder sometimes. You got Consala there at 9 and College Station in there at 10, and Anderson beat both of them. So, and they play Weiss this week.
I'll make a prediction here that 5AD2, Randall and Iowa Calling had a great game early in the season. I think they'll meet again in a regional final game.
oh yeah.
That one, barring a major injury for one of those two teams.
Yep.
That's a collision course game.
How long has it been since you've seen Bastrop in the top 10?
Oh, it's been years.
Yeah.
It has been absolute years, but they may have the best O-line coach in the whole state. So Coach Spano. This will be his last year. He was at Lake Travis for a long time.
Wow.
Stephenville before that.
Yep. So, I mean, you know how he was there when they won 4 of the 5 state championships at Lake Travis.
Yeah.
Smithson Valley, I know you know that coach well. Ask him next time you talk to him if this junior quarterback's the best one he's ever had down there, in his opinion.
And that's going to be tough, Jerry, because he's had both his sons play quarterback.
I know. This kid's really good, though. This kid's really – it puts him in – I know, but I'd be interested to see what he says about this kid because he's pretty good. On tape, Knutsen's really good.
That's why Jerry wants you to ask the question, Carl.
Yeah, I don't want. I'm not putting Bob or Buck on that one. I'm putting Carl on that one.
Ask one of his sons is the best thing.
Yeah.
I just talked to Alan Hill this morning, and I talked to Larry yesterday on the phone. So it's been a big Hill week.
So you could probably get this answer during the rest of the show then.
All right, Class 6A, South Lake Carroll still at the top, followed by Fort Bend, Ridge Point, Galena Park, North Shore, Allen, Lake Travis, Prosper, Duncanville, DeSoto, Denton Guyer, and Dickinson. Round out your top 10, Carl.
Yeah, this is interesting. North Crowley is probably the co-favorite to win repeat in Division I, and the difference between them and South Lake Carroll is 18 points. Mm-hmm. So it's quite big. North Shore had a big win last week by beating C.E. King, who had been undefeated till then, and this week North Shore has Summer Creek. So it could still be a 3-way tie at the top in that district.
Yeah, I was going to say, everybody's been waiting on that C.E. King to get over the hump against North Shore. I guess we're going to wait another year because it's North Shore and Summer Creek Friday night. That's actually going to be my game of the week as we get to that.
Yeah, Atascocita is that team that's knocked on the North Shore door a lot, and they're still waiting to win the important game on that one.
Well, let's get to games of the week, guys. What are we looking at this weekend? Jerry, you just said yours.
I'll get mine out of the way quick then. I got Summer Creek and North Shore. Lifetime Longhorn. Head coach Kenny Harrison, I think, does a tremendous job at Summer Creek, dating back this time at PA Memorial. Obviously, was a really good player down in PA and went to the University of Texas, played fullback. But, look, how about North Shore's last 3 games to continue their streak? Atascocita beat them 47-28. King beat them 42-27. And now Summer Creek. So they get the gauntlet at the end of district. And, Summer Creek, again, all these teams, who's going to be the one that really knocks off North Shore, right? Summer Creek, really good team, really good football team this year, but they did lose to C.E. King. I'm taking North Shore to win the game. I think North Shore's kind of playing well when it matters.
Jerry, good story on Kenny Harrison, and then I'll tell you my game. I'm watching highlights or the game of the Red River Shootout like in 97, and he's the fullback on the Texas team. They got the ball like on the 32. And sure enough, they hand him the ball. And, it is wide open to the end zone. He makes a 3-yard gain and trips over his own feet.
My Kenny Harrison story is, I think he was the OC when Jamal Charles was coming out of PA Memorial. He may have been there.
Yes.
Yeah, he was the OC.
Stephen Colbert was the head coach.
Yeah. And I went down there and and it was the eye roll he gave me. Texas offered Jamal Charles as a cornerback, and he rolled his eyes in a way that I was like, So you're saying they're not just wrong, they're flat out terribly wrong. It was just the way he reacted to saying, hey, they offered him as a corner and gave me one of these deals. I was just like, they offered Jamal as a corner. Okay, moving on.
My game's Piper and Champion. Right now, Piper's sitting second in district. Champion's fourth. If Champion were to win, it'd be a three-way tie with New Braunfels. And, like we've been saying for years, the UIL needs to have a set tiebreak rule, which they don't. And, I mean, when you read tiebreak rules, if lawyers ever got involved, they would just rip them apart because they are badly written. And so, obviously, the UIL wants every district to have their own choice of how they write their rules, but some of them make absolutely no sense. But Piper Champion ought to be a really good game. And like I said, Piper wins, they'll be second and get the host. If not, it may be New Braunfels, it may be Champion.
Bob?
Well, I'm going to go back to my old stomping grounds in Central Texas. Two assistant coaches that I know well who both got moved up as coordinators when the head coach left or retired, and that's Galen Zimmerman and Tony Salazar. Dripping Springs 8-1 at Westlake 7-2. That's going to be a huge game in that area. Be a huge crowd there. Galen Zimmerman has really brought Dripping Springs into the state spotlight with the job that he's done, and he was at Coppell prior to that. That staff came in and took my staff's place, and then they went down to Dripping Springs because they knew it was a growing area and was hungry to be a power in football, and they've been consistent. That staff is pretty much core of that staff has stayed together. And then Tony Salazar. I mean, when you replace a guy like he did, Todd Dodge, you got to be. I mean, it's kind of like Randy Allen when he came into Brownwood and took over for Gordon Wood. I mean, that's not too many guys, And of course, when Buck became the AD, that's a big job for an assistant to step into a program that is at the level that they're at. So Tony stepping into a great situation, Zimmerman stepping into a situation that was on the rise, but certainly hadn't plateaued yet or made it to the level they want to be. So that's going to be a great game, I think.
Yeah. And Buck, what about you?
Well, first of all, Bob, it wasn't too hard to replace me. Both those cats won state championships.
Because you had it rolling so good, baby.
I had good assistants is what I had, and good players. You know what? Right down the road here, these are not ranked teams, but Eagle Mountain Saginaw's got Chisholm Trail and Saginaw playing, and the winner of this game is going to make the playoffs. And it's going to be a pretty close game for those guys. So I'm kind of keeping an eye on that one. Two good coaches, and it ought to be a heck of a game.
Yep, and hey, Blake, the loser of the Dripping Springs Westlake game only gets Vandergrift next week, so they have something to really shoot for on Friday night. And by the way, Dripping Springs humbled Vandergrift the first game by like 30 points or something. So you would think Drew Sanders really be looking forward to that rematch.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for this week's edition of the Fieldhouse. We thank you all for tuning in. Of course, we'll be back next week, and it'll be playoff time. So that'll be an exciting topic of discussion for sure. So for Carl Padilla, Bob Shipley, Coach Tim Buchanan, and Gerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Munroe, and we'll see you then.